What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Friday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock. Don't know why I just sang that. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Restored Motion, RestoredMotion.com. ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right. Hope your Friday's off to an awesome start. Be doing AFR at Rouse's later today for a little Tackle Hunger, Fill the Food Bank promotion. Excited about that. And excited to talk about this weekend of football. A couple things right there from Jump. Ryan Kelly met with reporters on Thursday, his final media availability before the game. And unfortunately, it looks like Logan Diggs won't be playing on Saturday. Doubtful. And the kind of good news about that, if there's a silver lining, it's that it's going to get more reps for Josh Williams and Noah Kane. So that's good for those young guys, veteran guys who are going to have an opportunity to play a greater role on Saturday. Also, if you were watching yesterday or following along or just heard the final, LSU men's basketball loses to Dayton in the Charleston Classic. Tigers were in a really close game in the first half, went to halftime trailing by 2, and then they came out in fuego in the second half, built a 15-point lead with about 9 minutes to go, and blew it. Dayton hit a 3 with about 3 seconds to go, and then Carlos Stewart's 3 for the tie at the buzzer was short. So, man, oh man, what a bummer of a day of a game. So Tiger basketball falls to 1-2. I know there's not a great appetite for it right now. But those are the ones that you'd love to be able to get, and came up short. So you got North Texas today at 10:30 a.m. Then they don't play again until the day after Thanksgiving. They'll play North Florida at the Maravich Center. Then they're at Syracuse the following week. So anyway, got some interesting games ahead. I mean, you're going to play at Syracuse. You're going to play Kansas State. You're going to play Texas. So you've got, before you start conference play, you got some games that are interesting. Got to find a way to get some wins. So we'll see if they can. All right, we'll say some good mornings here. Y'all fire away with whatever you got. You know the drill. We'll say some good mornings and rock and roll a bit. Lowell Cormier, good morning. Lowell, I was hoping you'd be here this morning. I owe you a thank you. The hoodie you sent me came in yesterday, and I am super grateful. So would love to display it on AFR probably Monday since we're on remote today. But salute, thank you, very cool. Lowell sent me a hoodie from Minot Air Force Base, so up in North Dakota, and of course Dale Brown from Minot, North Dakota as well. So great tie there. I appreciate it, Lowell. Very cool. Thank you so much. Kenneth McCown, good morning. Vernell Thomas, good morning. Scone, what do you think of Carr playing next Sunday? Yeah, Vernell, I think everything I understand is he's going to play. The shoulder's fine, and they expect him to clear concussion protocol. Josh DeVilliers, good morning, Matt. Took my wife to her first game Saturday and my first sold-out night game. It was incredible. How far is Don Juan from the stadium? Wanted to go but couldn't make it. So it's not super far, Josh. Don Juan's on Corporate. It's like Corporate and Jefferson and Town Center. It's just getting off of campus is tough. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who do it, Josh, who leave the game maybe a smidge early or whatever, and will pop over there. But just know that it's more just if you're stuck in traffic, that's really your challenge. Let's see. Mr. Jones, good morning. Jason H, what's going on? Matt, let's see the shoes. Um, I don't have them on yet. Let's have some next one. But they're navy G Nikes with the gum bottom. They're really sweet. They're one of my favorite pair. They match the shirt. Let's see. James McKinney, Tim Gotro, Larry Garner, Dalton Barnett, Maddie. It's been a minute since I've gotten actual live morning scone, but my word, you rock with the call of the century. Yeah. So last week is when last Thursday we're driving. No, last Friday. Last Friday we're driving home from Pensacola, and during the live show, someone asked Erica her prediction on Jaden Daniels, and she said he'd run for 200 yards or whatever, and I was like, and we all laughed. Rightfully so. I mean, he set the single game rushing record for a quarterback the week prior with 160 yards against Bama, and she predicted him to not just break the record he set 2 consecutive weeks, but to shatter it, and he did. I mean, she didn't actually know what she was saying, but and then she corrected herself after we all laughed. But sometimes, say ignorance is bliss, but I don't think that's appropriate here. It's more just it's a good thing what she didn't know. Randall Offred, good morning. What would Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman mean for LSU getting the kid from Michigan? Yeah, Randall, I think they're going to get him anyway. So he's talking about Bryce Underwood, who's the #1 player in the country for 2025. He's quarterback, and he's essentially down to Michigan and LSU. He did not take a visit to Michigan this year, and his whole family was in Baton Rouge for the Auburn game, and he has been down to Baton Rouge I think 4 times with his family. So he's serious. And by the way, those are unofficial visits, so they're footing the bill for it. That's #1. The other thing too, Randall, is Michigan just took a quarterback commit for 2025. That is effectively them waving the white flag on Bryce Underwood. So I think LSU is going to get the #1 player in the country for 2025. So the Heisman would be great, but I don't think that's the thing that's going to matter. In that case, I mean. Brad David, is it hard to do your show outside the studio? Do you have to haul lots of equipment? So thankfully, Brad, we have an engineer, Bo Wegman, who handles all the equipment and setup. So back in the day when we do radio remotes, I would just haul the Comrex kit and do the setup and tech myself, which is not efficient, and honestly, it's nerve-wracking because if you're in the middle of a live show and something's going wrong technically, what do you do? And we have those situations, so it's always better to have an on-site engineer. And Bo's great. So Bo sets up the whole thing: the set, the cameras, the audio, the mics, the board, everything, and then he's there for the show to make sure everything goes off without a hitch. So, let's see. Daniel Holden, morning, Matt. Just wondering if you know anything about this Amazon filming that BK talked about. I don't, Daniel. That feels like a Cody Worsham question, and I will definitely ask Cody. But I had no idea that was a thing going on, and honestly, I'm not sure if it's a Amazon documentary on LSU, on Jaden Daniels, on the SEC, on college football, whatever it may be, and it just happens to be, they happen to be capturing a season where Jaden is, having this great run. But I'll find out. Taz, good morning. Now, I was going to say that maybe they could be under. I mean, it could have sounded like a disclosure form, like a D&D. So we'll see. But then that's what I'm thinking about. Like if they would have signed, waivers, like disclosure forms or non-disclosure, like an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. That's what I was thinking of. If they signed an NDA, then why would Brian Kelly have said that on Thursday? So anyway. Taz, do you believe Coach DA gets involved in his coach's game plans or makes some changes? I don't, because we keep doing the same thing over and over. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think he's calling the defense, and he said that really from the beginning when he was like, "It's hard to give up your baby," and he continues. He's obviously calling the defense. Offensively, if you're talking about is he getting involved with Pete Carmichael, I don't believe he is. Bubba Tatum, Wendell Norman, good morning. Brad David, didn't Jaden almost leave for the NFL last year? He really increased his stock by staying at LSU. Yeah, Brad. He got feedback from the draft. I was told that his feedback was late day 2, early day 3, which would have meant like late 3rd, early 4th type guy. And he made himself a lot of money coming back to school. Yes, he did. Mr. Jones, heard of any DC prospects for a new DC for the Tigers? Well, Mr. Jones, they haven't fired their current DC yet, so no. Cody Champion, good morning, Matt. Really beat the brakes off A&M, and why the hell is Matt House still here? Yeah, I mean, they're not going to make a change during the season, obviously. Tara Walker, what's good, brother? Running back Caleb over under 100 yards rushing. I'll go under Taro because I don't think he's going to get the lion's share of the carries. I think you're going to see Josh Williams and Noah Cain. Now, could he bust off a long one? Yes, but I don't think it's going to be a thing where he's got 17 carries for 104 yards. If he goes over 100, it'll be like 6 carries for 100. He's got a 65-yarder in there. You know what I mean? But I think it's a Josh Williams, Noah Cain day tomorrow. Jason H., we also need the Matt Shuffle. It's been, you know what, Jason? Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. Normally it's right there. There it is. Got it. There it is.
Someone you know, Scone and Terrio. All you need is Hudco. Call Hudco Roofing. 364-1007.
Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Rain all this week, y'all. You know there's a bunch of people who found out they had leaky roofs because of this rain. So y'all give us a shout. Love to help you out. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Make defense great again, Matt. If Jaden wins the Heisman, does it keep this season from being an utter failure? A season where you pretty much expected to beat Florida State and Ole Miss before the season and go to Atlanta. Utter failure, I guess it just depends on through what lens you're looking. Contextually, if LSU wins the next 2 weeks, gets to 9 wins, wins a bowl game, gets to 10, Jaden wins a Heisman, you continue build. Yes, I mean, those things are all great benchmarks. It's not what you want, of course. I mean, you want to be in Atlanta and you want to compete for championships. I thought they would be. Told you that. I mean, going back to Atlanta, I mean, I get it. Everybody makes predictions and you don't always get them right. But the one thing that I felt that I was pretty staunch about was this was going to be the worst quarterback year in the SEC since 2014, and that LSU had the best quarterback. And for that being the reason, I picked LSU to win the SEC and go to the playoff and win it. But I was right about Jaden being the best quarterback. I was right about it being a down quarterback year in the SEC. I don't even think that's debatable. I just didn't see the defense being this awful. So, is it a total failure if Jaden wins the Heisman and becomes the 3rd Heisman Trophy winner in the history of your program, and we got to watch this epic performance, and no, it's not a total failure. You go back-to-back 10-win seasons under Brian Kelly, no, that's not a total failure. It's showing progress and building from where you were the 2 years prior, where you were 1 game under 500. So you're 5-5 and 5-6. And you were 10-11 the 2 years prior. So, yeah, and then you go back-to-back 10-win seasons. I mean, no, you were 5-5 and 6-7 is what you were. So you were 11-12 the 2 years prior. Anyway, not that it matters. Brian Wynn, good morning, Matt. Headed home from Brock shortly after shoulder replacement. Wow, Dr. Nick is the best. Cool. I wonder who that Dr. Nick. I wonder who Dr. Nick is. I don't know if I know. Nick who? What Nick? Brian, I'm glad shoulder surgery went well, man. I hope you're feeling good, and it sounds like everything went great. I'm glad to hear that. Of course, thank you for using Brock. They're the best. Antron Hemingway, good morning. Can't wait for game day tomorrow. Me too, man. I'm ready. Only a couple more. Daniel Roof, morning, Matt. Coming to Baton Rouge Thanksgiving. Go Tigers. All right, Daniel. Safe travels to you and the fam. Eric Wilderrider, morning, Matt. Woodward has obviously done an incredible job, but does it give you even a smidge of worry that he was the man behind what now is the worst contract in college football history? So he wasn't actually, Eric. Jimbo got a 10-year, $75 million deal, which is similar to the deal you gave Brian Kelly. And at the time, people melted over Jimbo getting that deal. But remember, he was just a few years removed from winning a national championship, and you pried him out of Tallahassee. The 10-year, $75 million deal wasn't the terrible one. The $96 million extension that Ross Bjork gave him after the COVID year was the terrible one. So don't let history confuse the facts here. 10 years, $75 million was mind-boggling, but at the time. But I even said at the time, I mean, this is one of those things where it's great that everything is recorded, Eric. Everyone melted over Jimbo getting 10.75 back in the day, and I said, do you realize by the end of 10 years how many coaches are going to be making $7.5 million? You know, we're not even, think about this. So Jimbo was making 7.5. So this is the point I made back in the day when Jimbo got that contract. I said by the end of that deal, by the end of 10 years, he won't even be in the top 30 of the highest paid coaches in the country by the end of that 10-year deal. Saban, Dabo, here's your highest paid coaches that are, let me go down to 7.5. So here's your list of coaches today that are making over that 7.5. Saban, Dabo, Kirby, Ryan Day, Mel Tucker, $10 million. Lincoln Riley, Brian Kelly, Jimbo Fisher, because he got bumped to 9-1. Mark Stoops making $9 million a year. Kiffin $9 million a year. Heupel $9 million a year. Franklin 8.5. Harbaugh 8.2. Mario Cristobal 8. Luke Fickell 7.6. Mike Gundy 7.6. And then Mike Norvell's at 7.3. But just look at the coaches out. Napier, Brent Venables, Kirk Ferentz. Those are all coaches making over $7 million a year. Dan Lanning's at $6 million. You know he's going to get a raise. He's at 6.6. Point is, Hugh Freeze at 6.5 at Auburn. Bielema at Illinois is getting 6.5. Sam Pittman 6.5 at Arkansas. Kyle Whittingham at Utah is at 6.3. Do you understand my point? Shane Beamer 6.1. Elot Drink is at $6 million. PJ Flex at $6 million. Do you understand my point? My point is like 10 years, $75 million. If Jimbo was making 7.5 right now, first of all, the buyout wouldn't have been that big. And number two, 7.5 puts him in the top 20. It was the extension that Ross Bjork gave him. The $96 million extension is what killed him. And that was Bjork. Brian Irwin, Matt, if Jaden keeps putting up numbers and doesn't win the Heisman, would it be considered one of the biggest snubs ever, or are the other two playing good enough for it not to be? Listen, man, I don't know that I would say it's the biggest snub ever, Bryant. It's just that we just haven't seen LSU players in this position very often, meaning a Heisman finalist. And so we haven't thought of it in those terms because you're not emotionally attached to the decision. But every year there's players who have great seasons that don't win the Heisman. I mean, if you're a Heisman finalist, you by definition had an amazing season. So only one person can win it. So there's snubs every year, you know. I mean, I think about like Matt Leinart. Leinart won it in 2004, and then Reggie Bush won it in 2005, although Leinart's numbers in 2005 were better than they were in 2004, the year he won it. Tebow, it's another example. Tebow won it in 2007, had better stats in 2008 on a better football team and didn't win it. Sam Bradford did, because Sam Bradford threw 50 touchdowns that year. So Yeah, here you go. So Leinart won it in 04 with 3,300 yards and 33 touchdowns. The next year, he threw for 3,800 yards and 28 touchdowns. Had a higher QB rating, higher completion percentage, higher yards per attempt, threw for more yards. I mean, he had a better year in 05 and didn't win it. So, happens every year, man. Chuck Sanchez. What's up, Chuck? Get it? Up, Chuck? Been a minute. Hope all is well in the Sanchez household. Bubba Smith, Gary Atchison, good morning. Keep recruiting like a big tiger. Frank Wilson, get back to the natty. Go Tigers. Lowell Cormier, injury to Joe Burrow didn't look good. Yeah, that was ugly last night, man. You know, my first thought was, man, got to go see Crystal Poche. Let her work out that wrist. Get him back and going. Barry Day, good morning. Nick Hetsis. Okay. He did not, he was not part of the interview series we did, so that's why I didn't meet Dr. Nick. Forrest Wilkinson. It feels like Derek Carr is the most hated Saints player since Marcus Williams cost us the playoff game. You know what, Forrest? I'm going to push back on that a little bit because I remember when Marcus Williams missed the tackle on the Minneapolis Miracle, there were a lot of jokes made, but I feel like the Who Dat Nation kind of wrapped their arms around him. They put up billboards that were like, "That's okay, Marcus." And anyway, I don't think Marcus Williams was hated. I think as time went on, Marcus Williams became a really good player, and it was, as the Saints window kept closing, it was disappointing to look back at that. But I don't know that I would say Marcus Williams was hated for that. And it's the Saints' fault. They let him get away. They didn't want to pay him. Mark Bayard, good morning from Tampa. All right, there's a couple more minutes here. Y'all do me a favor, please smash the like button if you're there watching live or on demand. Subscribe up to the YouTube channel, Facebook. Please like the Matt Scone page, share the post. We appreciate y'all for being here as always. Jerry DeLucky, good morning. Bailey C, would you invite Dennis Allen to Thanksgiving? Sure, seems like a nice guy. Disrespectfully, classy Mark E. Blasé. Okay. Who do we get for new DC? Do we give Corey Raymond a shot? No. You're not hiring Corey Raymond to be your DC. If you fire Robert Steeples as your cornerbacks coach, then you should absolutely call Corey Raymond to come back to LSU. That should be a no-brainer. I don't know if Brian Kelly will. And I will remind you that when Brian Kelly got the job, Corey Raymond was not even given the courtesy of an interview for the opportunity to stay. He was just let go, along with basically the entire staff, with the exception of Brad Davis. So, I don't know if he will be interested in bringing Corey Raymond back as a cornerbacks coach, but I can tell you Corey Raymond's not going to be back as the DC. So Dane Bergeron said no Corey Raymond, all caps. Why? Dane, are you talking about his cornerbacks coach or his DC? Like, Corey's not going to get hired as a DC. But as a cornerbacks coach, I cannot for the life of me understand where this little LSU fan narrative is stemming from about Corey. Okay, Dane says as DC. I mean, don't worry, Dane. That's like literally never happening. Because Brian Kelly's going to hire a proven, like, if they fire Matt House, he'll hire a proven defense coordinator. Like, you don't get to like fire your DC and then replace him with, well, let's just take a shot on a new guy. Like, you're going to go for something stable. But there's this sort of fan sentiment out there about Corey Raymond as cornerbacks coach that I just don't understand. Like, Corey built DBU for a decade, and all those kids came to play for him. Went to LSU. His parents still live in the area. Loves his alma mater. Didn't want to leave. Would come back in a millisecond if he had the opportunity. I just don't understand where that sentiment from some fans is coming from. Anyway, how about Jacob Thompson? Morning, Matt. A week from a week from today, I'll be on my, so a week from today, I'll be on my way to Baton Rouge, my first ever LSU game against A&M. Hope to meet you. It'd be awesome, Jacob. You know where to find me, man. We'll be at Don Juan after the game on Saturday. And you know what, actually, man? Because it's a friggin' 11 a.m. kickoff, Don Juan is opening at 10:30 for everyone that wants to go watch. I may just go watch the whole game there. Maybe easier than trying to watch the first half of them. We'll see. Okay. I got to get going. It's 8 o'clock. Got to get Drew up, get him to school. Callum Alexander, do you think Dave Aranda would come back as DC if he's fired from Baylor? Callum, I think Dave Aranda most likely would look for another head coaching job. And if he was going to get a DC job, my understanding is that going back to the West Coast and joining Lincoln Riley at SC would be more likely. So would I be cool with Aranda coming back? Absolutely. Some dudes are just meant to be coordinators. Look at Dennis Allen. Maybe Dave's not meant to be a great head coach. That's fine. But I would, in the middle, say, and I know his defenses this year stink, but there's also a big difference when you have great players. And maybe he's not meant to go recruiter. Dave's not a great recruiter. That much is a given. But he ain't got to recruit a great roster at LSU. You just got to coach him. So. Spurge, what's good? David Bass, good morning. All right, y'all. Oh, I'm late. I got to go. All right, thanks so much for being here. As always, please, if you're on YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook. Please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Appreciate y'all, as always, for being here. LSU Daily is live, so on your favorite podcast app, if you would, please just go search LSU Daily and subscribe up. And then AFR at 3 from Rouse's on Burbank. Help us tackle hunger, fill the food bank. I'll be there all day today, Rouse's on Burbank. So hope to see a lot of y'all there. All right, have a great day. Peace.